That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Fairly alarmed here.
Welcome back to MOTN Reviews, that is Masters of the Nerdiverse Reviews, where we look at some of the shining cinematic supernovas of the Nerdiverse and some stars that are not so brightly lit. I'm, of course, your host, Mike G, and with me always is my awesome co-host.
Waka waka, went just heard of it.
Now you're Fozzie Bear forever. You understand that,
Yeah.
now, right? You have the little tie with the derby. And,
all right.
And that's,
or Mickalika High, Mickalika.
Mickalika High, Michelob.
Yeah.
That dude got drunk. I know he was drinking the Michelobes. He was...
Well, it was the 80s. Wasn't it 80s? Pee Wee Herman?
Pee Wee Herman was like the 80s, probably like early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with Larry Fishburne as Cowboy Curtis.
Larry Fishburne.
Yeah, this idiot changed. I'm Lawrence now because I'm a thespian. Nah, bro, you Larry. Whatever.
You got all this insider LA knowledge, jeez.
It's not LA knowledge, man. It's dumb nerd shit. It's like stuff that people shouldn't know, that he was originally Larry. That's what my mom calls him. She's like, oh, Larry, he's still an actor? Yeah, Larry's doing it. Oh, geez. You can always find this strange podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Pee-wee's Playhouse, where it's actually inside the human toilet that has a face. It's under its tongue, is an episode of the podcast.
You said the magic word!
Ah! Pee-wee's Playhouse was like an acid trip for a child, man. Like,
right.
I would get like sugared up on like Kicks and like Frosted Flakes and just bug out watching Pee-wee's Playhouse, and I would just be like, wow.
You just have like Doors music playing in the background.
Yeah, I'm hearing like White Rabbit, by Jefferson Airplane, and watching like the genie on that shit. Oh man. So I did want to put a little weird. I don't want to date this episode because I want you to be able to listen to these out of sync. Just know that this is a special episode because it's the episode that should not have been. But that's fine. This is a movie that I'm extremely excited to talk about because it had a weird effect on my childhood. And
you're saying this is the Suicide Squad of podcast episodes.
Yeah, this is the Suicide Squad of podcast episodes. This is the Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides episode. It's the Necronomicon of review episodes. A movie I don't see reviewed that often, so I'm happy to review it. And I kind of want that to be my shtick, or our shtick rather, is reviewing weird, obscure movies that people have a hard time finding reviews on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, people want people's opinion on these weird gems that are lost to the pillars of time, to the shores of eternity.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, so let's shine a light on some of these. So this week we're going to talk about a movie that really needs no introduction. It's one of the strangest films I've ever seen. And it just keeps getting weirder the deeper it goes into itself. And it's really it's really classified as American comedy horror in a weird way. And this is a film that was directed by Dan Aykroyd, if that gives you any kind of weird indication.
Yes.
In 1991. And this movie is called
Nothing But Trouble.
All around
Isn't that pretty good?
The same song. I'm gonna put an echo on that, so you sound like you're real far away. So Nothing But Trouble, man. This is a dumbass movie, dude. It's crazy. It's not. It's what it is. It's really the ramblings of a madman. It's like the movie is
Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Yeah, it's both Dan Aykroyd and his brother Peter.
So this is like these two kids were working on this movie since they were little. That's the implication that I got, is that they're thinking of the most craziest shit they can put together, and they put it in one film. And the problem is that no industry guys or no like producers told him no. This is like completely unbridled.
It's Dan Aykroyd. It's SNL, dude, it's Spies Like Us.
It's Spies
Come
Like
on.
Us. It's Ghostbusters,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Who's gonna tell him no? And the movie just feels like it's just a streaming consciousness of random craziness,
Mm-hmm.
and the plot's crazy. And I'm just gonna list a couple of people who are in this movie. So we got Chevy Chase, another
Boom.
SNL alum. We got
Yeah.
John Candy.
Oh,
You know,
Uncle
we got
Buck.
Uncle Buck. We got Demi Moore. What? This is,
Yes.
and of course Dan Aykroyd is in multiple roles. He kind of did the Nutty Professor thing before Eddie Murphy did it, right?
Yeah.
In this
So
film,
you
'cause
say he was ahead of his time.
he was ahead of
a
his
visionary.
time. He was a visionary, and it really shows in a lot of this movie. It's too well done to be as crazy as it is. You know what I'm saying? It's way too well done to be as crazy as it is, and it's too much attention to detail
Right.
about as crazy as it is. And normally I would just kind of go through the plot, and it's hard. How do I explain this damn plot? So pretty much, Jesus, I don't mean to take Lord's name, whatever. Pretty much the movie is about Chevy Chase and his wife Demi Moore. Their character names don't matter because it's dumb. But
Right.
Chevy Chase and his wife are these Manhattanites living in penthouses, you know, drinking Cristal and all that bullshit. Just snobby how to do Manhattanites, right? And they're traveling, I believe, to Atlantic City for the weekend. They're going to have a good time. And they're passing through a small town, you know, like 101 small towns in America. And they come across, and they make a wrong turn off the Jersey Turnpike, and they come across the most jacked up, destroyed, like foundationally corrupt,
Right.
you know, city you could possibly go through. Reminds me of that I Love Lucy episode where Lucy, Ethel, Fred, and Ricky are driving through that town and they're speeding, and Ernest and that sheriff kind of pulls them over and keeps them in lockup for like 24 hours.
Are you a Lucy head? Do you know?
I'm a super Lucy head, dude. I'm a big
geez.
Lucy head. You can't tell me nothing about some I Love Lucy. And their cousin Ernie's there for some reason. And that Ernie's supposed to get married to like the sheriff's daughter, like shotgun wedding style. And they have this big, giant, elaborate like hoedown inside the courtroom. And I'm sorry, I'm geeking out over Lucy, but the movie's really a lot like that.
Yeah.
And where these guys, where this group kind of, and it's pretty much, it's Chevy Chase, it's Demi Moore, and it's two supporting cast members. I forget the Latin American name, the American gentleman's name, and his wife. And I think they get caught up too. And they go into this town. They get pulled over by John Candy, who plays the sheriff, and a couple of the characters are going to come along in this movie. And they go see the judge, who's a 106-year-old, a fully prosthetic makeup Dan Aykroyd.
Right.
And the movie just gets crazier and weirder and imaginative from this point on, and it's just nuts. It's just one of the more interestingly plotted out films I've ever seen in my life. And what's your experience with this monster?
Well, it's first of all, we talked about how they go off on the wrong exit.
Yeah,
of the interstate. Like, had that really happened to anyone in real life?
it happens to me all the time. Like I go on some adventures
Oh.
because I'll drive up north for me,
Yeah.
Northern California, and I'll miss my entrance on the 5 or the 405 or something, and I'm like, oh, I guess I have to take a different freeway, and I'm just driving, and I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm going to go on an adventure to find the freeway again, and you pass through the weirdest little towns, you make stops, and you get like deer beef jerky, and just wild stuff, but it's like, I'm sure this isn't their first time driving to Atlantic City, so it's like, everyone knows if you're that scared about it, you just get off on the next exit and turn around. Right? It's not some crazy, like, super...
You're not going to miss Atlantic City.
Right. It's not Snake
Yeah.
Way, you know? You're not going down the River Styx. It's not a one-way drive. Right? You turn around, you get off and you turn around. So, you go meet the judge who's... This movie is, like, just very visually bloated. It's like so much stuff around. Like, you drive through the town...
Yeah, it's bloated. They spend way too much time on certain things and spend little time on other stuff.
Yeah, it's so
and
weird.
It's also like it feels like everyone was wet.
It's a very tactile movie, isn't it? It's almost
Yeah.
moist, right? Like there's steam coming from the ground. Like there's people. It looks like some of the more dilapidated areas in the U.S. I don't want to name any cities, but it just everything just feels tactile. It feels very mushy, you know. Like
Right.
everything is. You drive up to the judge's house, and it's just there's like thousands of pounds of just metal just outside of his door. Like it's like a pile like a story tall of just like hubcaps. You know what I mean?
And that's actually very common for older people.
It's just weird. It's like all the trappings of a stereotypical older person bent up to the max, right? It's this house is the ultimate hoarder's nightmare,
right?
Or dream, for that matter, because it's just a ton of weird shit, and it's just and the front of their house kind of looks like the junkyard scene in Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's just metal,
yes,
and it's just congested and just claustrophobic, and they pull up to the judge, and it's Dan Aykroyd. And he's dropped from the sky on this weird like contraption. He doesn't walk out like a judge. He's lowered, kind of like Sting from WCW, into his chair.
I could just picture like him directing it, like this is gonna be funny,
awesome. And no one's laughing. No one's laughing. They're just like, yeah.
Let me snort some more. Actually, no, not Coke for him. Let me have another hot dog.
Yeah. Oh, the hot dog scene. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, the judge is pretty cool at first. He's like trying to talk to him, and like, you were speeding, right? And Chevy Chase in this movie is the most unlikable dude on the planet. He's just an ass. He's unnecessarily hoity-toity to the judge. He's like talking down to him. And
well, can I ask this? Like, isn't like part of Chevy Chase's like character in all his movies are like he's kind like he does the family man, but then the family man has a little bit of a jerk inside of him.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
Chevy Chase is a very mean comedian, right? It's like he's not like in your face like Sam Kinison, kind of like aggressive. He's just an ass. Like even when he's being a good guy, like in the National Lampoon films, there's a mean streak about his comedy, right? And it's like in this film, he just turns it up to 11. He's like, from what I hear, Chevy Chase is not that nice of a guy already. You know?
I mean, I would love to be his friend, be like the one guy that understands.
He's cool with. Right?
Yeah, like I do all his interviews. Like, yeah, I don't know why Dan Harmon had such a bad time with him. He's a pretty good guy. He used the N-word, but
he dropped it like 6 times. But
yeah,
he's human,
that was his
right?
character. He was staying in character. If Daniel Day-Lewis did that, you'd all be giving him a Golden Globe.
You'd all be crying to give him all the Oscars, the ones for technical supremacy. But yeah, I feel that way about Bill Murray. Like I want to know Bill Murray, like past the quiet, reclusive jerk side of him. Like I just want to know him. I want to buy him a beer and he'll accept it and drink it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they pull up in the small village of Vulcanvania, which is the name of the actual town.
Yeah.
Shit is nuts. Named after the actual judge, Alvin Vulcanheiser, and his nose looks like a phallus. They designed it that way. And
don't they actually allude to that during a scene?
Yeah, like it starts to get more and more phallic the further you go into the movie. Mm-hmm. It's very subtle at first, but then like especially in the hot dog scene, it legit just looks like a dick. Like real talk, like it's crazy, and it's something that he probably thought was funny, and they were just like whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just so weird. Mm-hmm. And the movie's it's brewing with creativity, like the famous hot dog scene where he's like, all right, you guys are gonna have to stay the night while we process your paperwork, and the entire house is this weird, evil fun house where they're trying to argue their case.
had to be there. Like, I would, like, literally, like,
I
you
would
have
throw
to
up.
save the night. Yeah.
I would just throw up and pass out, and I'll wake up in the morning. That's how I would deal with it. And it's like, oh, Judge, we don't want to go here. He's like, too late. He pushes a button, and the floor just drops out. And they end up falling on a mountain of baby dolls. Like, just weird stuff, dude. Like, what?
Yeah. Like, who thought that was funny?
He did,
now, you
man.
also, yeah.
It's the
And,
weird, him and his weird brother.
right. His weird brother.
It doesn't make any damn sense, man.
Yeah.
And then, like, they go, they're, like, trying to get through this weird house maze that's just congested. It's almost like, remember Double Dare? And you have to get through it's almost like Legends of the Hidden Temple. Their house is a giant Legends of the Hidden Temple maze. Where you got to crawl through and get the Shrine of the Silver Monkey. And you got to put that shit together. But the judge is coming, so you got to do it fast. It's just a very fun movie, but it also is very disturbing. Like, their table has a hot dog condiment train that just drives around the table. And it shoots mustard and ketchup on all your stuff. And as a kid, it looks really cool. But as an adult, It's like, this would just be nerve-wracking. Like,
now, I do have to bring it up, like, like, people are gonna go, how did Dan Aykroyd ever think about that? Now let's cut to him now, where he's a little bit more big boned, if we'll say at least.
Dan Aykroyd is weird, man.
Yes.
This is,
this is something that big people think about.
Yeah.
Like, what are different ways? Yes, different ways to get food.
Like you mentioned Pee Wee Herman earlier, it reminds me of Big Adventure, where he has that Rube Goldberg machine that makes his breakfast. You know what I mean? Where it's like the ball hits the chicken, and the chicken plucks at the egg that cracks the egg over the open stove, and it's it's like frying his eggs, and the Mr. T cereal spills out on the pancakes. It's wackiness like that. And this movie just doesn't stop. He has a giant industrial can, a warm can of Mountain Punch, of a Hawaiian Punch.
Yeah.
And he just downs. It's just so crazy, man. It's just so funny. And then the movie gets ultra dark when they're like, oh yeah, you're just going to marry, like, Chevy Chase, you're going to marry my sister, my daughter. And it ends up being like, it ends up being like John Candy dressed up as a girl, as a lady that doesn't talk, but she's real strong. She's like this super pretty but buff, like, daughter that just lives in one of the many coves of the house.
She doesn't say anything in the movie, right?
She's mute. She doesn't say.
Yeah.
She just makes little like little noises and stuff like that. It's super crazy, and it's just like.
Now, wouldn't it be funnier if it was still like John Candy's voice? But it's still the daughter.
Starving, right?
Yeah.
No, it just sound like Dr. Girlfriend from frickin' Venture Brothers. That's how raspy is the voice. Hashtag Dr. Girlfriend is hot. I don't care what anybody says. I'm just putting it out there.
All right.
You needed to know that one.
Controversial statement.
I'm putting it out there. I said something so brave right now. Mm-hmm. So pretty much the judge is mad because John as a Chevy Chase is like, I'm not marrying your daughter, dude. I gotta go to Atlantic City, man. So he pretty much punishes them to death, right? And like,
right.
And they're deep within like their backyard, which is this giant hellscape of metal and like in weird construction. There's a roller coaster that turns into a death machine. Remember that part where they're going through this roller coaster, like, oh yeah, this is fun, and then they splash out to a giant meat grinder. I
remember that.
And it just kills the two people that are with them, and they just get spit out into bones. And that's where you meet the other
Dubbo and
what were their weird dumb names, like Rudy and Bobo or something like that, which are both played by Dan Aykroyd, I think. Right? I think those two guys are played by Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, those are real people.
Those are dudes. No makeup.
Yeah.
He found them. And they're real strong.
I win again.
It's Rudy, Bobo, and like Demi Moore, and they're playing like spades or something.
Yeah,
because
Bobo's hand was on top.
Bobo's hand was on top. Yeah, I won. And Demi Moore's like, yeah, Bobo won. He's like, oh, nuts. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, rats, right?
Now,
It's like,
do you think she was thinking in her mind, like, what am I doing here?
I
Or
think
is
she
it
was
more
thinking,
like
I need to
paycheck?
get out.
Or is it,
I think as an actress or as the character?
as an actress?
As an actress, she was like, what did I get myself into?
Okay.
Because it's like one of Demi Moore's more strange roles. So I don't remember her being in a lot of comedies. Action films, yes. Dramas, yes. But comedies, I can't think of another film that Demi Moore's done that's been this wacky. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, she's one of my favorite characters in the movie because she has a weird character arc where she starts to befriend these weirdos, right? She starts to befriend the family, and she's just, as you realize, she's like just trying to survive and not have these things rip her apart or eat her or whatever they're going to do because it's Dan Aykroyd. And that guy is just a weird, weird, weird guy. So, and I'm sorry if this review is just us talking about the film, but the movie itself is just so scatterbrained. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a bunch of 3-second jokes that all run together that make an hour movie. You know what I mean? And even down to the wedding scene where Digital Underground is there for no reason. Like, why? They were just there. Like, who just has Digital Underground in their basement? Right?
And Dan Aykroyd had the right, so he wrote a script.
Yeah.
So does this mean that he's that woke to know that Digital Underground exists?
He's so ahead of his time, dude. You don't understand.
Yeah.
Tupac was in this movie before he was Tupac. Tupac had an appearance in this movie.
Yes, you explain that because it still blows my mind that this is
I don't know how to explain
like
it.
real.
So Tupac was in this weird New York stage before he became California Love Tupac. This is back when he knew Jada Pinkett and all that crazy stuff. I don't know how he fell in with Digital Underground. I don't know why he was in the movie because he didn't rap or anything. He was just there. And it was all Humpty Dumpty and All Around the World the same song, and they did this cool like hip hop Here Comes the Bride track, you know what I'm saying? And as soon as they were done, they were just floating in the background. They were like background characters in a fighting game. You know what I mean? They're just doing their thing. And it's just so wacky. Like, it's just, this whole movie is just super crazy. So
I'd like to think that he had to do like some acting so that he could ask for a certain amount of money before doing poetic justice.
And it's funny is I would say, like, did he do this for his SAG card? But
yeah.
But then I realized that you need to actually say speaking roles to get into SAG. You have to actually talk in the movie, because that's the difference between an extra and an actor. It's like, if you say one sentence of dialogue, you can get your SAG card. I think that's how it works, or something like that. I'm sure there's other parameters. You know, for some reason they call the people that with them as the Brazilianaires. I think that's hilarious.
I like even reading like the premise of this show. It still called them the Brazilianaires.
The Brazilianaires, right? So the wedding gets canceled because Chevy Chase is not having it. The judge is about to sentence them all to death, but then the whole thing about Vulcanvania is that it's on a temperamental mine that explodes right at the opportune time, right? This place is like Silent Hill for some odd reason. It's just constantly on fire.
Yeah, something about a coal.
Yeah,
coal mine.
The coal mine is on a constant state of flux where it can just go any second. And this place is like damn Silent Hill. So the coal mine goes, and it makes such a comeuppance that makes such a commotion that the Demi Moore and Chevy Chase characters flee the land, and all the cops, the entire cops are there from like 100 miles are there. They all say, "Hey, how's it going?" No, that's the end. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So they jump onto a moving train and escape the horror of Vulcanvania and this entire scenario. And I don't want to give away the absolute ending because I want people to see this movie, but it's just a really wacky, fun, disturbing delve into like how really nuts Dan Aykroyd is when you let him go. You know what I mean? 'Cause he's always
like later on in his life, it's like, oh, okay, he's gotten a little crazy. I don't know if he's
crazy.
got a little
eccentric. right? He's
We'll
gotten
say that, yeah.
a little off, especially with his. I always mention it on the podcast. It's his weird skull vodka that I want to try really bad. He loves it. He's super proud of it. I want to try that skull vodka, but it just makes me think like there are other avenues where you let an artist just do whatever they want, apropos of nothing, and you see the actual what they produce. You know what I mean? Like everybody needs to be reined in a little bit, right? So okay, let's make this actually make sense. Like, and Dan Aykroyd was like, "Nah, me and my brother got this. We're writing, directing, screenplaying it, and we're doing all the shots. It's all us, and this is what you get. It's nothing but trouble."
Right.
A gem of a film that I recommend anyone see. If any of the stuff sounds interesting to you, check out this movie, man. It's absolutely
check it
hilarious.
out. If you're a Dan Aykroyd head fan, I'm guessing this would be your like mecca.
Who is this for, man? Like, like this movie is so crazy. It's one of those things where it's like, if I've never seen it and I have to watch it now, I probably would just be disturbed by it. But it's one of those things I grew up with as a kid that just was on TV, like on TBS or the cable channels, and I just was like, wow, should I be watching this? Because it's not Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No.
But it's 3 jokes ahead of it, right? It's like, it's not gory, but there's gore. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I think if this movie was made today, it probably would do a lot better.
But it would be a lot more toned too. It wouldn't be as extreme. It wouldn't be as scatterbrain. Like the Scatterbrain movie is almost dead. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you could thank Tom Green for that. You know what I'm saying? Just he was the last. Like the Jackass movies were kind of the last. Johnny Knoxville were kind of the last. Well, you could say some Adam Sandler films are like that.
Well, it would be like a little bit more polished.
Yeah.
It would be like I think Ed Helm would take the place of Chevy Chase.
I would love that, man.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I think Ed Helm doesn't get enough play, and he is like this generation's Chevy Chase, right?
Right. And then it could be like the Gail Gadot could play Demi Moore. Not that I'm wishing, but man, I'm wishing.
I just want more Gal Gadot. I just want more.
Yeah.
Her. And just throw somebody weird in there, like some comedian to do the Dan Aykroyd part. And
it would be Danny McBride.
That would be cool, and let Dan Aykroyd and Danny McBride direct it. Dan Aykroyd has to be in there somewhere. It would be the stupidest movie ever, and it'll be awesome.
Well, he would have to do a cameo.
Oh yeah, he would be in the movie. He'd probably be playing the judge because now he's old enough to look like that, right? He wouldn't need much makeup.
Geez. My gag reflex just kicked in actually just thinking about this movie again.
Just give him the penis nose and he's good to go, man. Just throw on the prosthetic. I'm sure he still has it. Knowing damn Dan Aykroyd.
Aykroyd's too busy chasing UFOs, so it doesn't.
Nah, he caught him. He caught one. He can make movies again.
What?
No, I'm just kidding, man.
I missed that Coast to Coast episode. Do you know Coast to Coast?
Yeah, Space Coast to Coast.
No. Coast to Coast is a radio show where it would be. Oh, geez, you're in for a treat.
All right, I have to find this out.
It's a late night radio show that he would like open up the phones and then people would be going like, "I'm a time traveler." And he would go, okay, so tell me again, how did the time travel occur? And then it would be like 10 minutes of this guy just like whacked out on drugs or something. And then he's like, yeah. Or like, so tell me, what does the feces of the Sasquatch smell like? And then this woman would be like, well, it's a little bit of grassy. It's like...
What the hell, man?
And
I can see why you think
Aykroyd
this guy's crazy now, because he's like, he's feeding into their psychosis, which you shouldn't do.
Yeah, and Dan Aykroyd was like a guest on there, like, yep, I'm a spiritualist. I'm pretty much believe The Conjuring 1 through 3 are documentaries, and
that's awesome, dude. Okay, you sold me. I got to check this shit out. Yeah, fine. It's called Coast to Coast, right?
Yeah, with George Noory or Art Bell.
All right, I'm on it. You're just giving me homework because I want to hear People lose their shit. So what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen English swallow? And I was like, what?
Pretty much that type of conversation
Okay,
would happen.
We're in there. We in there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man. Any passing thoughts on Nothing But Trouble before we close out this nice and awesome review of this jamming classic?
If you find yourself if you're a fan of movies, I would say that you should watch it, because it's this is the top of the line type of movie to watch with your friends and go, what did I just watch?
What did I just watch?
Yeah. It's there's Dead or Alive. That's a good movie to watch with your friends. And then there's also this, and there's a few others. Yeah. But check it out.
This is a perfect kickback movie, like you were saying. You have a bunch of friends over, you throw it on the tube and let people come to it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You don't sit anyone down to watch it because they're going to squirm out their chair. You just leave it on and let people just be, what the hell do you have on?
I allow you to stream it illegally because it's hard to find.
It's super hard to find. It's not streaming anywhere. If you want to buy a copy off Amazon, it costs you an arm and a leg. It might as well be the price of a fresh movie. But
let me check that price while we're talking.
I know. If you could find it, watch it, because it's one of my favorite movies. It's one of my childhood movies. It's so smart, it's dumb. You know what I'm saying? But it's also very entertaining and very just wacky. If you just want to, it's not funny. It's just wacky. It's like watching a real life cartoon.
Good. So yeah, illegally stream, find somewhere else to watch it. I just looked at the price. They're wanting $3 to rent this movie, $12 to buy it a digital copy.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Or you can buy a DVD used for $2.
Oh man, yeah, get it how you get it, man. If you have a little record store in your town, or I know there's not many of them that exist anymore, but if you could find it just out in the wilderness, check this thing out, because it's worth $5. I would say that it's worth $5. And that's gonna do it for this week's review of Nothing But Trouble, directed by Dan Aykroyd and his brother Peter. You can always find this review podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. So if you're listening to us on any of those avenues, I thank you and humbly ask that you leave a like, a comment, or subscribe to any of these channels, because we're going to have a lot more content coming to you on a steady basis, and I would love to hear from you. So, of course, I'm your host, Mike G.
And I'm your host, Winter Sturdivant.
And as always, I'm going to ask you to look towards the skies. Look towards the skies.
Been all around the